Hey guys, Ryan here, Hustle and Grind podcast, bringing another great episode with season 3 kicking off with Scotty and I, exploring ways that you can go from successful startup to things of discoverability, creating commodities in your business, and so much more. Scotty and I kind of get into the nitty-gritty of startup businesses, some experiences that Scott had with his own startup, and we're excited to bring this episode to you. Okay, Scott, I want to explore in this episode going from a startup to a successful business. All right.
Okay.
So that's going to be the theme of this episode with you and I hashing through, exploring, what makes a successful startup, how could you go the completely opposite way and think you've got this great idea as a startup and then it just doesn't work out, and why that doesn't work out. All right. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I have some experience on the why it doesn't work out.
Yeah, definitely. So
we can talk about that.
One thing that we talked about last episode is being, and I've thought a lot about this, is being an owner-operator, being an independent kind of owner. I think a misconception that a lot of people might get into with business, entrepreneurship, startups is that, if I make, say, like the most amazing omelet in my kitchen or whatever, and my friends come over and I make them an omelet, they're like, Ryan, you make the best omelets. You should start an omelet business tomorrow. And I start an omelet business based on 3 friends and my wife saying you make an amazing omelet, right? I think that happens a lot in business and in startups, where you have this, I guess this kind of false pretense where you get into this idea of starting a business based on your passion, starting a business based on your friends and family saying you're so good at this and you should start it. I've experienced it from kind of another point of view, yes, personally, but also with clients who have been down this path, realizing very quickly, oh shit, they're really good at making an omelet. They're terrible at running a business. And what should people do in that situation, right? So let's explore that. Like, you have a passion. Is it going to result in a successful business, or you're really, really good at something? Is that something you should take and get into a business, or just keep it as a hobby?
Yeah, I mean, man, pretty deep question.
It is a deep question, and I don't think we're gonna.
No, but that's good. I mean, it's thought provoking.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a million different ways to skin a cat. And obviously, on a high level, if you're really good at something and you're passionate about it and you can monetize and earn an income and create a business, then hallelujah, right? Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Good on you. If you're actually competent and can run an actual business and, surround yourself with great people, hire great people, and continue to provide a high level of service for or product for your client base, then yeah, good on you. But just because you can whip together a mean omelet doesn't necessarily mean you have the skills to create and operate a successful business.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then again, like in this day and age of like the day and age of feeds on our phone, yeah, it makes sense to love what you're doing and have passion for it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only recipe for success.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't want to be miserable.
No.
But like, when you draw it up, right, you're getting a marketing agency, right? You love sports. Mm-hmm. Like I do. If somehow I could land a gig on a bench in the NHL tomorrow and coach in a show, that might be a dream job for me, a dream gig. But, again, I'm not. And that path is obviously a long one. I still coach, but I'm not a professional.
Right. Yeah.
And again, not to get lost on your question there, but I think it's there's a lot of variables in there to kind of unpack, and but again, with this example you're using, and maybe some experiences that you've been through, there's probably a little work you can do prior to try and identify gaps and whether or not it's worth the time and energy and resources.
Bingo. There you go. You nailed it right there. I think that is what, I agree. Before really taking that step to creating a startup based on your passion or what you're good at, you're right. Like, take a step back, look at that. We call it TAM, total addressable market. Is there an actual market for what you're doing? Are there 5 omelet places around the corner from where you're going to start your omelet place? There's a lot of variables that factor in, right? Is the market saturated? Is there a market that it is actually going to be there as customers or clients for you, right? So I love how you say that definitely take, and for those listening, if you're thinking of this because you are passionate or you're really good at something, that's awesome. That's part of the recipe, right? Mm-hmm. But then taking a step back and then actually creating, I don't know, like a business plan, or just really understanding the market before you really, put down some sort of like an investment on a lease or invest all this money in equipment or time, or you leave your job and then realize, oh shit, shouldn't have done that. Right. So I think there's a lot of steps to take prior to a startup. And there's things that like building commodities, and maybe we'll get into this, building things of value, building things within your company that create this what we call like maybe passive or residual income, right? I'll use my we talked about this earlier off mic, but my cousin who just started an electrical company. And he had worked for a big electrical company before, and just through various conversations of him talking to me, and he had always wanted to leave and start his own electrical company. He came to my house, did some electrical work and that sort of thing, some lights. The guy is a rock star. He's amazing at what he does. Super personable. Everyone loves him. I'm like, yeah, man. Highly skilled, like just knows his shit. And it came time where, he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna start my own company. I helped him a bit with his branding and stuff like that. But it does beg a question of like, here's a guy as an electrician and highly skilled, like honestly, like probably one of the best in the business. And how does he replicate and scale a business where he's not doing all the work on his own? I think what happens with a lot of businesses, a lot of owners, is that they're caught in the weeds of the business and they don't. We talked about this last episode about, are you creating a job or are you actually creating a business?
Well, and that's a good thought to consider, because again, we're not here to judge, right?
Yeah.
To each their own. Because it reminds me, so you talk about your cousin on the electrical side. I got a gas fitter that we've used over the years. Great dude, highly skilled, very reasonably priced. One-man show. Not interested in hiring people, managing people. Like he's not trying to get up the wealth ladder to level 6. He's not chasing billionaire status.
Yeah.
Right? He does well for himself. Right? Like his family's doing fine. He's kind of happy where he's at. Right? So again, it's a job.
So
he's one guy,
yeah,
on the tools, making magic happen, but he's content. Like he's in a spot actually where he wants to be.
yeah,
Right. So this is part of that exercise. What the hell am I like? Where am I going? What am I trying to accomplish here? Am I looking to create generational wealth? That's a different business plan. It's a different model. Right?
yeah.
So you also have to temper, I don't know, whatever. I know they're both words. I don't know which one to use in the definition here, but you have to like manage your expectations on what it is you're trying to accomplish and what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah. That's a good point. I love that because I think all things can be true, right? I think that you can start a startup or start a business looking to scale, looking to expand, build a brand, or like I said, your gas fitter guy, my cousin who's an electrician, they could be totally content just having their own business as like a one-man show and that sort of thing. So I think all things are true and all things can be right. But to your point, understand what you're trying to do before you really get into it. So you can stay in your lane and not have these, unhealthy expectations really that you're always striving to be something that you're not, right?
Yeah. And you talk about total addressable market and whether, should you keep it as a hobby or can we turn this into a business? In this day and age, again, with the way in which we're able to capture attention, you can have a hobby and start an Instagram page and be passionate about it and pour your passion into a feed. And you're not monetizing, but you're growing an audience. You still got a job, you're doing your thing, but it is right now, it is a hobby. And maybe right now, if you're growing an audience these days on these platforms, eyeballs convert to dollar bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whether that's, endorsements or sponsor deals or, reviewing certain products, right? Like there's kids raking money on YouTube because they're reviewing hockey sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or different, gear, sports gear. So there are ways to, like, again, but are you comfortable on camera? Do you want to be doing YouTube videos? Do you have the tools and equipment and the know-how and expertise to upload content to these platforms? So again, there's opportunities for a passion to turn into a business for sure.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, opportunity knocks. Like, is there a gap in the market? Are you somewhat intimate enough in a certain space where you can recognize, man, like somebody could do this way. It could change everything.
Yeah. That is a really good point. Something that I wanted to talk to you about too. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that this idea of white space versus this idea of entering into an industry that's saturated, but you're just going to do it better, right? The method guys, the guys that created method, what's it called, like cleaning products or whatever, right? They got into a space, arguably cleaning products, that is,
big players for decades.
Yeah,
right?
like Johnson and Johnson, Procter and P&G, like all these massive companies, right, that are in the cleaning space, right? You guys all know it.
Well, there's dozens of brands under that same umbrella.
Yeah.
So you're not just competing against one of those brands, you're competing against the entire category in some cases.
Exactly. So these two guys from college are like, hey, we can create a cleaning product, and make it sexy, right? And what they did is they created this really great packaging around, and they were able to sell, a bottle of like dishwasher detergent for like $1 more or hand soap or whatever, because you're actually going to display it because their packaging was so much nicer. Again, arguably such a busy space that people are like, oh man, why would you ever do
so
that?
I'm not, who are these guys? What's that? What is
Method cleaning products? You see them all. I mean, this was like years ago. These guys started it. A couple college buddies, and they're in like they're on the shelves of like grocery stores, that sort of thing. It's just a nicer looking cleaning product, is what it is.
So you're talking like, like the fancy soap pump that you put in the bathroom?
Yeah,
that's like not your traditional like.
Yep.
Or like the dispenser in your kitchen for doing dishes isn't like the ivory soap little, like it's like almost like a bit of a design element to like,
yeah,
kitchen.
that's all they did. Yeah, that's all they did. People thought they were crazy, but they got into this busy space and they just did it better. And there was a market there of people that wanted to have nicer looking soap bottles and whatever. There's a whole story behind it. I'm not going to get into it or explore it here, but like, it's just an example of, if you think, oh shit, I can't get into that space, everyone's doing it. And there is this mindset and this idea too in business where it's like everyone's doing it. So you have this idea of like, I'm not going to do that. This idea that I have, everyone's thought of it before. Meanwhile, everyone else is thinking that too. Right. So everyone else that has that same idea as you, they're thinking, well, someone else thought of this idea. So what happens is nobody does it because everyone's thinking, well, someone else thought of this idea. And there's this paralysis kind of idea where like nobody will do it. And there's these small gaps of opportunities that do exist in business where you can find this and be like, this is a great idea. There's probably 100 people that have thought of this, but no one's done it because they're all thinking everyone else thought of the idea, and you enter into that market. Now, there's a whole slippery slope that you go down on that. There's also this idea of entering a space, we call it white space, where, it is an idea that is so innovative that no one's really playing in that sandbox. You can go and you can dominate. And that's another way that you can actually find good business ideas to go into. Again, understanding that the total addressable market and building a business plan and that sort of thing first, but going in and having this kind of idea where, no one's really doing this, so let's get in there and do it, having the wherewithal to start a business that way. So they're just kind of two different trains of thought, getting into a very busy area of a market and doing it better, or finding an industry or a market that no one's really tapped into and being first in and doing it.
So... And maybe I'll share a story that's kind of close to me. One of my gigs a couple of years ago, invested in, ended up becoming employed with the company and has since moved on. I've since moved on. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting transition. So this business is called Order, and it was like Uber Eats for stadium seats.
Right. I remember you doing this. Yeah. Talk about this.
So I don't know if we've talked about this on air.
I don't think we have, but I'm glad. I really want to. Huh?
Hey? The red jumpsuit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You were wearing the Order gear.
Oh, did I have?
One of the episodes.
Maybe.
Okay. So yeah.
So brilliant idea. One of my younger brothers is a co-founder. Mm-hmm. Brilliant idea. Like, who doesn't want to enjoy the game and not miss the goal, the touchdown, the block, the dunk, whatever?
So can you explain to the audience like what it was? Because I remember you doing this and I thought, man, this is fucking genius.
Yeah. So I mean, many of our listeners have used Uber or Uber Eats. Yeah. Right. It's a mobile platform that allows you to get from A to B or to bring food, beverage, in these days you can get anything really on Uber Eats.
Right.
If there's a retailer out there, a driver will deliver it to you.
Okay.
But there's long ass painful lines at sporting events and concerts.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So our mission was to enjoy more of the action. And I'd pay a premium all day long if I didn't have to get another beer at risk of missing. You go to a Jays game, you'll miss an entire inning sometimes.
If you're waiting in line,
depending on what you're after, it might not be a beer, it might be chicken fingers for crying out. I got kids who want 3 different things, and they're not all available at the same damn concession. So now I'm in 3 different goddamn lines.
Right. Good point.
So you're not telling me that I'm going to spend $500 taking my kids to a Jays game, I wouldn't spend an extra $20 to have my shit delivered to my seat.
Yeah.
Okay, that was our concept.
Nice.
Nothing like that happening in that space. Very difficult. The teams all want it. Every single one of them want it. But they contract out their food and beverage services. And the food and beverage operators, it's a complete flip of their entire operation on how they manage the business, right? It's lines.
Right.
There's no ghost kitchens where, they can prepare. Like, so you have to find a way to literally overturn their entire process. Okay, so where are the runners coming from? Where do they pick up the food?
Right.
Is their food a priority from the other 30 people waiting in line? Like, there's all these logistical pieces. So we were learning these things and helping operators figure these things out. Massive barrier to entry. In the process of that, because we're processing transactions, we made some relationships, and the company's, still available to do the in-seat delivery piece, but we've kind of morphed into the entire merchant ecosystem, right? Because we're learning more about the fans. Teams can collect a little bit more, data about what the demographics are and the groups of folks that are attending their events and what they're spending their money on. So now it's become this, it's transition. So the core part of the business now wasn't in the original business plan.
That's wild. That's interesting. So yeah, sounds like it's genius. And I remember you talking about this probably a few years ago or whenever it was you did it, and thinking, man, that's awesome. But perhaps the market just wasn't ready for this, right? You were so innovative, so ahead of it.
Yeah.
And this happens in business too, is that you have this idea like you guys did. You were just two steps ahead of what the market could either understand, or, it takes a while for people to adopt to, especially technology. Right. Like, and perhaps that was, but then you talk about all the variables that you didn't really know might have been a factor too.
Yeah. And,
that's wild.
Probably butchered the title. I don't know if it's called Crossing the Chasm. You remember that business book here?
Yeah.
We got the early adopters.
Yes.
Right. So it's like you literally got to find the early adopters.
Yeah. And that's only about 3 to 5%.
Small percentage.
Space. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, in order to get across the chasm, you got to get those laggards, those folks that are like, they want to see shit working in the market, not just for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Could be a decade depending on the space and the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
So, talk about operating out of, maybe going into a white space. Because again, if the business plan in the beginning was, we're going to start like a transaction, like merchant services company in that space, people are, you guys are lunatics. Like, you're going to go against the big banks and these massive, financial firms that are doing all this. Like, that's your model.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to, right. But kind of coming in through the side door, they've been able to, build relationships and identify a gap. It's like, shit, some of these guys are getting bent over on their rates.
Yeah.
So if we can provide a better service with a better rate, we're going to get some of those early adopters now. And then now we're kind of getting, I say we are, as in like I'm still there and I'm not.
No, but you were, that's part of an experience. One of your experiences, right?
We're in at the ground level with a very small investment. And if it goes to the moon, then that would be wonderful. Yeah. But
that's cool. There's a lot to unpack there too, about, working with your brother and that sort of thing too. I think that's pretty cool. Just kind of like exploring, and we've had some family, as our guests, family members, right, that have worked together. So that's a whole thing on its own, I think. What I want to get into, got some notes here, but discoverability.
Of course you have notes.
Of course I got notes. I always got.
You've graduated notes, from a notepad to
I'm on my
laptop.
computer now. No, the notepad will come back once we have a guest, I guarantee. But the idea of discoverability of a business, I think about this a lot. I think our listeners and our viewers might be able to gain a lot from this. It's like starting a business and then becoming discoverable as a business. Two separate things, right? You could build the most beautiful business in the middle of a desert. If there's no traffic or no one's discovering you or no one's around, you're not going to be, you're not going to succeed, obviously. So, I think that and I do see this from startup businesses to businesses that have been around for, say, 10 years, right? This idea of being discoverable. I think in the past, it used to be that you would have a shop out front, you'd have a sign, maybe put a billboard up, that sort of thing. People would discover you that way, maybe some word of mouth, that sort of thing. I think now it's extremely important to have a discoverability factor in your business and understand that from the beginning before you start a business. And there's several things that you can do pretty easily, and there are some things that you need a budget for to have a discoverable business, right? Talk about SEO, right? Search engine optimization, which costs you money, but it's going to rank you. And then there's some other things like social media, creating consistent content and just being discoverable that anybody can do without having like a marketing degree or a business degree or anything. Do you have thoughts on, how to really create discoverability in your business, in yourself? I've got some experience in that sort of thing, but I'm curious about your thoughts about like, how do you become discoverable,
Yeah. There's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
Cause I think there's, you kind of touched on it, maybe we call it the old school analog, business in the right location where there's a high level of traffic and you've got the right billboards and you've got a presence and people see you.
Yeah.
Whereas now more so than ever, the digital side of being discoverable, is a big part of the equation.
Right.
And that the importance of that may vary based on the type of business. Like if you're a service business in London, Ontario, you don't want to be optimized for coming up in search in Aurora,
right,
Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Are you going to send a crew to Aurora?
Depends on your business, but
and
for the most part,
on the job, probably.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, there's still some locality there.
I like that. Yeah.
I think
that you said that.
Depending on the type of your business.
Yeah.
If you're selling a widget for cheaper online and you're essentially an online retailer, yeah, your reach is maybe expanded. Your discoverability can span across a larger geographical region.
Yeah.
But then there's even the old school, like in my current gig, we do a lot of conferences, trade shows, and they're not cheap to invest in, right? Like we were just in Chicago for a massive show, and it was a significant investment. There's 10 of us down there,
Really?
and we're all flying in from wherever. And in hotels, and and then not to mention that we sponsored a space on the floor, had a massive booth, and that's a significant investment.
Right.
But just so happens to be in the asset management section, we had 3 or 4 presentations during the span of the trade show, and our booth was beside it. Directly positioned behind it. So it's like, if you need to talk to our guys, they're right here.
Nice.
But to have those speaking opportunities and to invest the funds to have those eyeballs, it's costly. So again, depending on where you're at, the size of your business and what markets you're in, those types of things can be scaled down too. You can attend that trade show for a fraction of what we would have invested.
Right.
And still rub shoulders with the same people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's different ways to kind of, be put on the map. Obviously the digital piece is big. Do you do it on your own? We haven't talked a lot about it on the show, but I've been dabbling with some AI, the tools out there that you have today at our disposal, that we didn't have 2 years ago, let alone 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it worth spending a couple $100 on a course that kind of gives you a a glimpse into the world of what tools are available, right? Because again, you guys have a team.
Yeah.
Each of your team members are bringing something different to the table, which provides a wider scope of services available. You can probably do it better and faster than me trying to figure something out from scratch on my own when I don't have any experience at.
Yeah.
But I also may not have the money to bring on an agency like you. So I think that's part of the challenge is what are we doing? How are we getting there? And then just on the other side, like, do you have your own little nest egg that you're pouring into this thing? Do you need any investors? Right? Go back to order. Those cats, very fortunate, brought on an investor early who'd done well and had some exits. Okay. Really believed in the team and the concept and what they were doing. Had he not been in the picture, the company wouldn't have survived.
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't even had an opportunity to start to, they just did a deal, they've probably done more recently, but, hometown is born in Edmonton. Did a deal with the Oilers.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Right. That's like a big win, for them. And, my brothers still live out there.
Yeah.
It's my dad and my sister.
Yeah.
Some nieces.
Well, it's, so that's great, man. I mean, discoverability can be in a lot of ways. It can be, if you do have some budget, then you throw it at tools, or through your own devices, you go to trade shows, like you're saying. There's easy things too that you can, managing your Google business page, setting up social media. I mean, there's a lot you can do without spending a lot of money initially that I think my point is that people may start, and again, for our audience, it's like, start your business, have the idea, get into it, have your startup, but also have that idea first of how am I going to be discoverable? A, versus my competitor, or B, just versus everybody out there and all the noise, right? How are people going to discover me without doing stupid TikTok dances or whatever, or thinking you're going to have a viral post, right? Because, that's hard to do. But man, how are you going to allow people to know that you're there? Because you don't just start a business and people are like, oh, they don't just show up, right? Nobody just shows up. You got to work your ass off at it. You have to start your business, and then you have to, go to events, go to networking things. If you have money, invest in SEO, right? And rank higher than your competitors. All these things. There's so many things, but I think that idea of discoverability is just not. It's just not part of the early conversation, and I would like that to be part of the conversation earlier on.
It needs to be, and again, I think it comes back to reverse engineering from like, where is it you're trying to go, right? Like what? Because again, no judgment, right? There's different levels of the game, and you can decide on where you want to be at. Yeah. And then start to think about, okay, well, what are the types of things I can do now to kind of start chipping away at eventually getting into that level. But if you're not thinking about how more people can learn about your business, then you're maybe stunting your growth. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. On this subject, just reminded me. Yep. Have you ever read The 48 Laws of Power? Robert Greene.
I'm reading it right now, and we haven't even talked to. I literally.
I'm reading it again for the second or third time. I read it probably 20 years ago.
Did you?
It's so much more meaningful for me now. Yeah. It's funny actually, like going through and reflecting back, and there's certain things that as I'm remembering these laws. Yeah. Where I'm like, not to like pat my own back here, but I'm like, shit, like I've actually I think number 2, like never outshine the master.
Yeah. Yes. That's number 1.
Or is that number 1?
That's number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Never outshine the master.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And thinking back, I've always just tried to make sure whoever my supervisor, manager, leadership, always try to do everything I can to make them look like superstars. Yeah. And never risk putting myself above them or making them feel less than. And it's served me well, man.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really has. And I didn't even realize that it's probably because I read that book early on in my sales career.
That's amazing. I love that.
But the other one that I like is attention. And it ties into kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And how do you get the attention? And he goes into like some stories over history. If you guys haven't read the book and you're interested in,
Yeah, it's a Robert Greene. It's a book that was written it's been around forever, like 20 years ago or something, but it holds up. And actually, I just listened to him on another podcast talking about it and how it was kind of his last, like his Hail Mary book.
to
right?
like make it as an author.
Yeah, and it just
And
caught
since
on.
then he's been dynamite.
Oh yeah, I mean he's written. What's the other one?
Mastery is on deck. I've got it on deck. He's got a book called Mastery.
Yep.
I haven't gotten into it yet.
And again, this isn't a book club podcast, but these are, and this is what I love about you, Scott, is that you're well read. You're constantly, the My First Million guys, like I'm like obsessed with them now because of you. So like, there's a lot of like knowledge here that you bring. I'm trying to read more and that sort of thing. But this definitely is a book I think that almost everyone.
If you want to get into business,
you gotta
plan
get
for
this thing, man.
what you're going to do.
Yeah,
it's a timeless book.
48
And again,
laws
because
power.
he's using stories of history
Yes.
to articulate how shit has unfolded in the past,
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah, I like that.
Avoid these pitfalls. Don't outshine the master.
Yeah,
because
number one.
that's not going to end well for you.
No, and the master could be a client, right?
Right.
Don't outshine your client. Don't there's a lot of interpretation,
Right, exactly.
that you can take from this. So straight up, man, like you guys, go grab that book or listen to it on an audiobook or something. But it's well worth it for sure.
The one piece that on the attention, and we'll wrap. So we'll beat this
Yep.
to a pulp. There's a spot in there in the attention law.
I haven't got to that law yet.
Okay, so they hired this guy to systematically, methodically, over the course of a day, just walk through town and pick up a brick and replace it with another one, and then walk another so many feet or meters or whatever and replace that brick with the one he was carrying. And he just not saying a word. And he don't say a word. And then he would walk into a museum. Okay. And then he'd sneak out a back side door and he would do it again. And so many people were like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Right.
Who is this guy? What the hell is going on? Like, what's with the bricks? Right. So anyways, people started paying to get into the museum to chase this guy to find out what the hell he was doing.
Really?
And the next thing you know, the museum's full of people.
Interesting.
So it's like it's an old school, it's a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
But that was done way back in the day. Like I couldn't remember the year.
Yeah.
But they're just creating the attention and the interest and the intrigue of like, what's going on?
So the interpretation is that create intrigue and interest.
Yeah.
And then it'll just
Like,
snowball.
and that's what I think
Yeah.
the core of that specific law is any attention is good attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No
for sure.
news is bad news kind of thing. Right. But he also talked like reputation is another law in there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a slippery slope because your reputation can make or break you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the pendulum swings, right? You go so far one way, you got to come back the other way. So you got to, man, I'm excited to read more about that. I know we got to wrap up, but I did want to touch on one more thing with you, and that's the idea of, and again, for our audience and that sort of thing, it's, this idea again that I think a lot about is, creating a commodity-based service or product in your business. So this is what I mean. You go to a grocery store and you've got your commodities, right? You got your milk, maybe. You have your cheese. I don't know. I mean, if you're lactose intolerant, you're not buying any of those things. But maybe you've got your staples that
consumables.
The consumables, right? The commodity that people will just keep versus the $40 prime rib that you're not always going to buy. How do you create that in your business, especially service business, where you're creating this, commodity where, and we talked about this earlier on, is that, you're an expert, you're the only expert in your business as an electrician or a gas fitter, or in Alex's case, as like a videographer. You have this specialty as a business owner, but then what are the other revenue streams you can create as a commodity in your business? I think it's something that people need to think about a lot more than they do, because like what we've done in our business, we're a marketing agency and it's expensive. Like not everybody can afford it. What we've done is the last 4 months, we've built our own CRM using AI and whatever, where, we understand that not everyone can afford our services, but if you want to pay a monthly fee, you can use our CRM. It's AI driven. It's going to help connect a lot of your marketing and that sort of thing. Right. And also too, creating maybe like white pages or things of value, where it's like, I don't know, maybe like a DIY, maybe you're a chef and you're creating a recipe book that people can just buy over and over and over again. You're the chef, providing the high end value and whatever, you're very expensive. But if I want Scott Wayne's chef book on how to make the best poutine, I'm just going to buy, I'm not going to get Scott the chef. I'm just going to get the recipe book. So, does that make sense? Like what I'm saying?
I think there is absolutely opportunity for business owners to introduce new line items on the balance sheet, right?
Right.
New revenue streams by thinking creatively and looking in the mirror and asking, like, is there other areas that we can add value that people are willing to pay for?
Right.
And that, again, that comes back to what we've talked about, and you'll hear us talk about it again, is are you working in your business or are you working on it? Because I think if you're working on it, you have enough of a high level view to maybe recognize some of those areas where there may be opportunity to add another line of revenue into the mix. So having just but again, that's also a slippery slope on the other side of that, because do you want to be really, really good at one or two things that separates you from the competition, which is where your success has actually come from?
Yeah.
Or do you dilute your ability to do those core things at a high level because your attention is now spread too thin?
That's a good point.
Focusing on another arm that may not generate the type of revenue that it deserves based on the attention that it demands.
Yeah. That's a very good point. So that's something to think about too as you create these. But I don't know. I'm looking at the time. Speaking of balance, I got to run and get the fucking kids from school. We talk about balance a lot, right? And it's like entrepreneur, podcaster, gotta play dad now for the next 2 hours, and then gotta jump back into business owner. I know you got your kids, your balance too, but yeah, man, these are good conversations. I'm excited to kind of explore more of this with you.
I'm glad we're back, man.
I'm glad we're back too, and then having some really kick-ass guests on for sure, and definitely like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. We're bringing the heat for sure, and yeah, man, another good one for sure.
Beauty.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a wrap.
Another great episode. Thanks for joining us. Please support our podcast. By supporting us, you can go to YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, go to our website, hustleandgrindpod.com. That way you can go and you can apply to be a guest. Listen to us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all the channels. But we really appreciate your support. Keep listening. We have a lot of great episodes and a lot of great guests ready to go. We're going to keep coming hard at you here and digging into the hustle and grind of what it takes to be an entrepreneur and a business owner.